Mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body
Hello. You are now tuned in to the A Little Bit A Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and welcome back to another week. Oh my gosh, guys. Christmas is coming. The new year is coming. 2024 is on 2x speed. Honestly, it's racing. Like, I feel like I'm not actually ready for 2025. I really need to get into my reflection era and really think about the growth that I've had this year. Yeah, like, because it's gone by too quickly. It's really gone by too quickly. And since the end of the year is already upon us, we've already had Thanksgiving, Christmas is coming up, New Year is coming up. I felt like this was the perfect time to talk about navigating holiday anxiety and guilt and all of the different mixed emotions that may come with spending time with family on the holidays, around the holidays. Because I feel like traditionally, most media around the holidays is about, like, the joy and happiness. And like, I have felt that when it comes to my immediate family, but when it comes to extended family, that hasn't really been the case. And I haven't really had the most positive feelings around connecting with them around the holidays. So I feel like this is a topic that really needs to be talked about more, because the older I'm getting, the more I'm seeing that there are a lot of people out there who do struggle during the holidays when it comes to Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, navigating those family events. And whether that comes from, like, seasonal depression or just like triggered feelings around certain family members, things like that. And I just feel like I kind of wanted to talk about, like, my experience this year. It has been a very transformative year for me when it comes to who I'm spending time with around the holidays. If you listen to my episode about going no contact with my family earlier this year in season 2, make sure you go ahead and check that out after you listen to this episode. So, like, it really is a year of a lot of changes for me and stepping away from a lot of traditions that I know. So if anyone else out there is going through the same thing, I kind of just wanted to, like, put it out there and just talk about how, like, I'm coping and navigating with that, and, like, kind of open the conversation to see, like, how you guys are coping and navigating with the growth and getting older, and kind of just realizing that, like, family is not as picture perfect as you think it is when you're young. You know what I mean? Like, when you get grown, you really see your family for who they are, where it's like, okay, now it's adult versus adult, and you're how old acting like this? It gets a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? So, like, let's jump into it. But before we do that, if you are watching this video on YouTube, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Go ahead and give this video a like. Comment down below to let me know how you're navigating the holidays. Do you deal with social anxiety? Are you dealing with, breaking from the norm of family traditions around the holidays, etc.? And go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. I'm on my road to my first 700 subscribers, and turn those post notifications on as well. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, thank you so much. I see you. Go ahead and rate that 5 stars and leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. There's also a follow button on Spotify and Apple that you can click, so that way you're staying up to date with everything A Little Bit A Lot podcast. So yes, I have a couple of notes here so I can make sure that I kind of talked about all the different mixed emotions that have come with navigating my social anxiety and my just anxiety and a little bit of, like, depressive feelings when it comes to the holidays, like, in general. So I want to kind of start off with, like, talking about my experience when it comes to the holidays growing up. If you're not new to my show, then you kind of know a little bit of the lore, but just like to recap it for those who don't know, I really feel like during the holidays, when it comes to Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, New Year's, stuff like that, I always felt like I had to mask my true self as I was growing, and I felt like I was always performing to meet the expectations of my extended family. And when I say this, I'm mostly talking about my mom's side of the family. So, like, no shade, no tea to my mom. I don't have any issues with her. It's my grandma, like, uncles, like extended family on that side. My dad's side of the family, I've never really been close with that much. So unfortunately, every single holiday I've ever had growing up was with my mom's extended family. So that wasn't really like the best experience for me. And I always felt like scrutinized by them with questions about school and work and like my life decisions at dinner. And it's kind of just like, I know that this is not just like a isolated experience. I've seen so many different memes online where people talk about like Auntie Brenda that's in your business, and you be like, okay, well, what about like your baby daddy that left you? And it's like, oh, like people are really trying to go band for band, blow for blow when it comes to these elders being in our business and trying to make us feel bad about our life decisions and where we're at and what we're doing. And it's really turning into a different era where us like millennials, Gen Zers are really trying to turn up and clap back, because it's like, okay, you want to be in my business, how about I be in yours when it comes to us sitting around at this Thanksgiving dinner table? Like, this is supposed to be a time where we're supposed to be happy, having fun, you know, getting to know each other in a positive way. So when you are coming to these dinners and you are grown and you feel the need to make someone that's a younger person in your family feel less than, I just feel like that's such loser behavior. And definitely had a lot of loser behavior on my mom's extended side of the family. Like, girl, I'm here to eat my ham and my dressing and like get the frick out of here. I don't need you making me feel guilty about what I'm doing post grad, if I'm going to go back to school, yada, yada, yada. Those type of conversations are tired. Why don't you actually get to know me and my interests and things that I like to do, instead of always making me feel like I need to be doing more. I should be mentoring. I should be volunteering. I should. It's too many questions. It's too much of y'all in my business, not for positive reasons. It really feels like you're trying to, like I say, bring me down. And I need to cut that noise in 2024. And I did. So that was my experience pretty much every single holiday dinner. It was, like I said, endless questions about all of those things and scrutiny and judgment. And that was really miserable. And because of that, I always felt like I was on guard pretty much every single family dinner. And I feel like I would just give answers that I thought that my family would want to hear. And I always felt like I was being questioned about things when it came to food and being judged and scrutinized for the food at the dinner. They would always judge what I ate or what I didn't eat, what was on my plate, what wasn't on my plate. And I have mentioned before that I was like a really picky eater growing up. I've grown out of it a lot. But growing up, I did not like a lot of foods, and I always felt like I was a burden because my grandma would, every single dinner that we ever had for any holiday, act like me and my sister were an extreme nuisance to whatever it is she wanted to cook. And it's like, girl, as long as you just like give me one thing I'll eat, I'm fine, because I'm going to get McDonald's after this anyway, because to be honest, none of y'all really know how to cook like that. Until I've started going with my boyfriend and his family and seeing what like good cooking tastes like, I was like, oh, okay, this is a new experience. Like, my mom's side of the family really don't know how to cook like that for real. So like, no wonder why all of the food was disgusting. And on top of that, like, me being a picky eater, it's a terrible combination. So yeah, that was really freaking annoying. Like, girl, like, can I just get my plate and sit down and be in peace? Like, you're judging what I'm wearing when I showed up. You're judging my nails. You're judging my hair. What's on my plate? What isn't on my plate? It's just like every single thing that there is to scrutinize was being scrutinized. So of course I'm not going to feel the holiday cheer, and that's going to increase my feelings of social anxiety every single time I gotta come over my granny's house for any holiday dinner. That was freaking annoying. So, like I said, usually people look forward to spending time with their loved ones around this time of the year. But I had extreme anxiety and dread knowing I didn't want to go over there. And I would therefore need to have extra therapy sessions to prepare myself to be in an environment that I never really felt comfortable in. And that was mentally exhausting. So, especially 3 years ago, once I moved out of my mom's home and got my own apartment for the first time, it was just getting harder and harder for the past 3 years to want to go over there to my grandma's house and be around her and other extended family members that I don't really like, because it's just like, I truly now have a safe space. Why would I want to leave that to go to a triggering environment? So 2024 hit and I'm like, you know what? Yeah. You know what? I'm done. I'm done with this. So that brings me to this being the year that I finally broke the cycle. Well, technically, it was like the end of 2023 going into 2024. I decided that I was kind of over it. And then around like May, I officially decided to go no contact with my grandma and several other extended family members on that side of the family. And that leads me to this past Thanksgiving and also this upcoming Christmas. I didn't go to Thanksgiving dinner and I won't be going to her house for Christmas or New Year or anything like that, like I said, because I'm no contact. But at the same time, I had a lot of mixed feelings about it that I didn't really expect to have. Even though my therapist kind of like let me know ahead of time that I probably would, I have an avoidant type of behavior when it comes to trauma and like negative feelings overall. So I didn't really want to face it. But then once Thanksgiving was coming up, I really started feeling it because, a couple of weeks ago when we had Thanksgiving, I think my body naturally went into anxiety mode because it knows that Thanksgiving is coming up. So I automatically felt really anxious because, like I said just a while ago, I always needed extra sessions to prepare myself mentally to be in an unpleasant environment. But then I had to remind myself, like, oh, right, like you're not going over there this Thanksgiving. So then it kind of required me to do like reprogramming of my mind, which I did not expect to have to do, to let myself know, like, no, you're not going over there this year. You're safe, right? And that is not a part of the process that I feel like a lot of people talk about. Like, it's really frustrating and it can come with a lot of feelings of resentment because then it's like, you guys have put me in a position to where I felt uncomfortable and I've had to make this unfortunate decision to go no contact. And now I have to rework to reprogram my mind to let myself know that I'm safe now is really frustrating. And I think that it's not fair. And it's just really, really sad. And it's really a struggle to have to work through. And I'm just like, at this point, I ought to bill my granny and the extended family members for my copays for therapy because what? Like, I'm owed reparations at this point. So that was a really big thing that I had to like work on to remind myself that I am safe now. But at the same time, I feel like I also felt like relief as well, knowing that I wasn't going over there for Thanksgiving or this Christmas, because I knew that I was going to be avoiding the judgment and the discomfort and the need to mask. But then at the same time, I wrote down, I also felt a lot of guilt of breaking a lifelong tradition. That is really hard for me to deal with because I don't like the feeling of disappointing that side of my family, especially after growing up and being, such a quote unquote good child. But at the same time, like, I know that I needed to put my mental health first. So I am really kind of going through the gags, guys. Like, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be open. And, this is a safe space for me to say this. But it was really, really a lot. And, I cried a bit. And of course, my boyfriend Juwan was really supportive. And he was just like, it's understandable that you have so many mixed feelings, like I said, of the relief, but of the guilt at the same time. And I think, it just also comes with like feeling like I don't want to let my mom down, because since I didn't go over there for Thanksgiving, then it just ended up being my mom and my grandma like by themselves. But I have to remind myself, like, at the end of the day, like, that's her mom. And if she wants to continue to associate herself with her mother, then, like, that's fine. But I also feel like, of course, I don't want to, like, put my mom in a bad position because I know contact with my grandma, and then that makes her relationship with her mom harder. Like, I've thought about all of that, and so far my mom hasn't like given me a hard time about it. Like, she fully understands why I've done what I've done, and I've explained, the reason why I don't feel safe in that environment. Like, she gets it. But at the same time, it's just so much of that like oldest sibling guilt that comes with like me not wanting to let her down, because I know ultimately in a dream world, if I could just conform and just like be okay and kind of just go along and just get over it and push my uncomfortability to the side, like that would be ideal for her, because that's just how that side of the family functions. Like, you shouldn't really say much. Like, it's kind of just like, oh, like, that's just how Granny is. Like, her sons know that. My mom knows that. And they just kind of deal with it. But me, I'm like, no, I don't want to. I really don't want to deal with that. Especially knowing that, like, when I talked about it in my no contact episode, like, why would I go somewhere where I know that I am not like the first choice? You know what I mean? Like, the last time I talked to my granny, she straight up told me that she is going to be on the side of her children. Because if you guys know, I'm not like talking to my uncle because he disrespected me, and we are beefed out, because I don't care if you're my uncle, you're not going to talk to me crazy. And she doesn't care, And I'm like, okay, great. Like, you're proud of your son disrespecting his niece, right? And she's just like, that's my son. Those are my kids. So, and I'm like, okay, bet. So that means F your grandkids. Right, right. So when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And that's what I did, babes. I said, okay, you made it clear, them yo kids. You don't give a crap about your grandchildren and what I'm going through and the therapy that I've had to have after being disrespected by this entire family for my entire life. So I'm going to chuck the deuces. Kisses, you live your best life and you don't got to worry about me no more. And I think that she's really struggling with that, because I don't think I gave you guys an update, but I did send her a 4-page letter letting her know of all the times that she has made me feel less than and essentially been my first bully growing up, and the reason why I'm going no contact with her and her other 2 children. And she proceeded to not respond. So it's been several months. And then once I got COVID a couple of months ago, my mom told her for some reason, and she called me and left me a voicemail and was like, hey, just calling to check on you. Hope you're feeling better. All right, talk to you soon. What do you mean, talk to you soon? Did you not get my 4-page letter? I heard through the grapevine that you did, and your children were very upset about that. Mind you, my mom understands, but her other 2 kids, on the other hand, they didn't really take too well to that. Not my problem. But, yeah, it's just like, girl, I don't get jiggy with that. This whole like avoidant type of energy. If I'm going to let you know that there's a problem and then you proceed to ignore me and not respond for several months, that shows me that you do not give a single crap about anything I said in this letter. And then for you to call me months later only to check on me after having COVID, like nothing happened, is crazy. So once again, that's just solidifying that maybe I did make the best decision, because she hasn't changed and I don't think she ever will change. So yeah, that's just a little bit of the lore when it comes to that. But I am proud of myself this year for breaking the cycle. And I feel like now that I am no longer associating myself with that negative space and being around people that don't bring me joy and don't make me feel good about myself, I have to realize now that like my boyfriend's family is a safe space. Like, they don't judge, they don't make me feel bad about what I've got going on. They just want to see me every once in a while and know that I'm okay. So this Thanksgiving, I stopped over there, and it's really different with their dynamic because they don't sit down and have like a big traditional meal and like talk and be all up on each other's business. Like, it's way more chill over there. Like, they cook and then they all do their own separate thing. They eat separately and then they just like go off and to their room and they chill and they just use it as a day to like relax, and they don't feel forced to have to like sit down and pretend and do this whole shebang. Like, everybody gets to kind of do their own thing. So you're able to stop by, kiki for a little bit. I get my food to go. Me and my boyfriend, we dip and then we come back home. And I feel like that is refreshing compared to the experience that I was used to with my holiday dinners growing up, where I just always felt like I was trapped and we all did have to sit down and talk and be in each other's face, and it was like considered rude if I wanted to like step away or leave early. Like, having to be over there for several hours all day at my granny's house was literally miserable. But you know, when it comes to my boyfriend's family, like, they're not going to judge. Like I said, they just want to see me so I can just get my food and go. And that has made me feel a lot more comfortable knowing that, like, okay, I have that. So yeah, and I just feel like I also, want to focus on creating new traditions going forward for myself and like put more effort into like doing my own dinner as well over the next couple of years, so that way like my sister can have like an experience of having like a Friendsgiving or something like that, so she can know what like a fun and safe holiday dinner feels like as well. So yeah, I say all that to say I just want to make sure that anybody who's listening, that you aren't afraid to like start doing your own thing, and remember that you can choose to be with your chosen family rather than hanging with toxic family members, So I would just say at the end of the day, my final reminders to you this holiday season are: one, make sure that you're having quiet time and you're decompressing with your comfortable activities and cozy activities after holiday social gatherings. If you do have social anxiety or guilt or anything that's kind of similar to what I've been through, because even if you like leave a space that's safe, like I have now with my boyfriend's family, like you still need to prioritize like decompressing when you get back home. So whether you left a negative space or a positive space, make sure you have some type of decompression moments and cozy activities to do once you get back to the cribbo, so that way you can relax and pat yourself on the back that you did it, no matter whether it was good or bad, because either way it takes energy when you have anxiety to kind of do anything during the holidays. Like, it's rough. So make sure you prioritize that. And like I say, just remember that it's okay and it's normal to feel guilt if you're breaking away from traditions or if you're breaking away from being the quote unquote good child, because like I said earlier, your mental health comes first. Prioritize you, choose you every single time. I know that it's really hard to cope with the fact that not everybody's going to love your decision, not everybody's going to respect your decision, and not everybody that is called your family is going to want the best for you. Sometimes people that are your family members, genuinely hate your freaking guts. And it's really hard for some people to wake up and realize that. So then they continuously keep putting themselves in these toxic situations, thinking that these people are going to change. But I truly believe that people have the capability to change. And then there's some people who are like, they are never going to change. And that just is what it is. And I think the older you get, like I said at the beginning, you realize who your family members and the elders in your family really are. And sometimes it comes down to being like, dang, like if my granny or my uncles or my aunt Brenda or my aunt Glenda or whoever weren't my family, I wouldn't F with them. And you have to look at you versus you and decide, what am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with that? Because I know for me, I don't want my children in the future to feel like this. And one thing that I really wish was different growing up was that my mom didn't, like I say, no shade to my mom, love you down. But I just don't think that it's always like the best thing to always have to feel like you need to go over extended families' houses for the holidays. Like, because my mom is the oldest daughter, I feel like she has a lot more responsibility and obligation to always make sure that we would go over my grandma's house every single holiday. But sometimes I just wish that we would have like one Christmas or one Thanksgiving where we just do our own thing. Because my uncle, both of them live several hours away from Michigan, and sometimes they would say they would come and then they don't. And they're like, oh, me and the kids and the wife, we just stayed at home. And then they get away with not having to come, and they get to just spend a lovely little cozy day in the house and not have to go see family and be with their immediate family. But like, we never got that privilege. We would always be dragged over my granny's house. And it's like, girl, I don't want my children to feel like that. I don't want them to have every single holiday be associated with having to be social with extended family. Like, I want my new future to be a little bit more divided. You know what I mean? I want to feel like I have a choice to stay home if I want to stay home or see people if I want to see people. And that's a direct reflection of my experience growing up. And yeah, so I think it's kind of like freeing at the same time to realize that like I am in charge of setting those new traditions and setting those new boundaries going forward for my future children as well. So that will be really exciting to when I get to that era of my life to, make them realize that sometimes like it's okay to just be at home, for real, for real. So choose you, do you, don't feel guilty about it. And if you do, it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there in case other people were dealing with those feelings as well, because it's really not fun. But at the same time, we got this, you're going to be okay at the end of the day. I also wanted to talk about my favorite thing of the week. Oh my gosh, guys, I don't always have a favorite thing of the week, but this week I really wanted to talk about St. Denis Medical. Girl, this is my new comfort show. And I feel like, especially with me kind of feeling the winter blues a bit and going through this new feeling of all of these mixed emotions with not going over my grandma's house like I'm used to every single year, I'm really leaning into making sure that I'm watching shows that really bring me joy and just relaxing and like fully diving in and, kind of escaping a little bit through that in a healthy way. And of course, like doing my favorite activities like coloring, playing my Switch, which I always plug it. Follow my coloring account at Coloring with Kristen on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Your girl just hit 50 subscribers on the coloring YouTube account. So shout out to y'all. I really appreciate the love on that. But yeah, St. Denis Medical, if you guys haven't watched, is a show on Peacock, and it is so funny. If you've seen the show before, my show, I've talked about how I really love Superstore. I really kind of just like any office, like workplace comedy, whether that be Abbott Elementary, love Abbott Down this season, has been so good. I love seeing Gregory and Janine really get into the nitty gritty of their relationship, and like seeing them spend their first Christmas together was so cute. Jacob living with Miss Sheminti is like hilarious, and like her Christmas dinner was so funny. But yeah, so like I love shows like Abbott, The Office, Superstore. So St. Dennis Medical has been like my new favorite show down. And the thing that I like about St. Dennis Medical, the show is created by the same person who created Superstore. So it feels very similar. Superstore takes place at like a glorified Walmart, but St. Dennis Medical takes place at a hospital. So I think it's also really interesting, especially because like I work in the healthcare field, seeing that medical setting, but also adding like the comedy to it is really relatable. And I also love the fact that since Superstore was canceled as a show, now a few of the actors that were in Superstore are in St. Dennis Medical, like Mateo, Sandra, the one guy that used to work in the pharmacy. He's now a surgeon on St. Dennis Medical. So like that's really funny. Like the show is hilarious. So that's definitely my favorite thing of the week. If you guys have not checked out St. Dennis Medical, make sure you check that out because oh my god, it be having me king. But I've also really been enjoying like different new shows like How to Die Alone. I forget what the actress's name is that's the lead role, but she was in Insecure. And I love her, and I love the few episodes that I've already watched where she kind of talks about really real topics, like the feeling of being lonely, figuring out your life when you're like in your 20s and 30s, how difficult that can be, and figuring out like what your passions are. She touches on being fat and being black and being a woman, and that is all like relatable as well. So that show is like really funny but also like really touching at the same time, so I can't wait to finish that. And I've also just finished Master Chef this year, season 2024. This season of MasterChef was so freaking good. I know a lot of people seem to like sleep on shows on the Food Network, but MasterChef is so good. Like, even though I've expressed several times that I don't really love cooking, I watch it mainly for the drama and also just to kind of like learn more about like the techniques that I have no clue about when it comes to cooking, and like seeing Gordon Ramsay constantly like throw a pork chop at the wall because it was raw is like hilarious. So just finished that season up. Was super excited about that. And I've also been watching 911. Oh my God. When they say Angela Bassett did the thing, Angela Bassett really ate that. Why am I just now watching 911? I don't know. But I feel like now that I've been watching it, my boyfriend and I have been saying that it makes us feel really old, because a lot of times I typically associate shows like 911 on ABC with like shows that our moms watch. It feels kind of like an older person show, but somehow I'm eating it up, and then that kind of makes me realize like, dang, like I'm really an auntie now. Like I'm at that age, you know, even though I'm not actually actual auntie. My sister doesn't have any children, but like theoretically, I'm an auntie, y'all. For real, for real. I'm about to be 29 in freaking February. It's getting real, okay? And 911, I saw came out in 2018. So I'm on season 2, so we're still in 2018. But girl, 911 is literally the tea. Like, not only do I love following, like, the drama of their personal lives and the characters on the show, but it's just, like, insane seeing the different like scenarios that like the 911 callers like end up getting themselves in. I'm like, dang, like how accurate is this? How accurate are some of these calls? Is LA this crazy? Because it takes place with like in LA with the LA Fire Department, and Angela Bassett is in the police department. So we only really get to see like the glimpse of the police department through her, but it's mainly about the fire department. If you don't know, if you don't watch the show. And I'm like, dang, like it really makes you think about like how much do firefighters do? I need to look it up. I need to see someone who's a firefighter react to 911 and the LAFD to be like, do firefighters really do this stuff? Because we're 2 seasons in and I have not seen them put out a single fire. Okay? These people have not put out a single fire. Like firefighters do way more than fight fires. Okay, they're rescuing people. They're going into collapsed buildings. There was an episode that we just finished watching where they had a 7.6 earthquake, and that caused one of the high-rise buildings, spoiler alert, to do the lean with it, rock with it. So the top half of the building is leaning over. There's debris that's crushing the parking garage. People are trapped. People are stuck. And who do they call? The fire department. Okay, I don't see any police officers on the scene. The fire department is there. They have to run inside this building. And there's this one guy who was sexually harassing one of his employees and had called her up to his hotel room so she could go over the blueprints for this like architecture job that they were doing, this project. And when she was done showing him the blueprints, she's like, okay, bet, like, I'm out of here. And he was like, oh, how about you, like, shower with me? And she's like, the freak, I don't want to freaking shower with you, you freaking pervert. Like, what the heck? I'm about to report you to HR and I'm reporting you to the board. Tell me why this man said, oh, I picked every single member on that board, so good luck with that. And on HR, I'm basically HR, so I'm going to ruin you if you try to expose me. And she's like, you should be disgusted with yourself trying to hit on me. It's inappropriate and you have a wife and kids. And he's like, I don't give a dang. Then the earthquake hits, building does a lean with a rock with it. She slides over to the side and falls, grabs onto the pole, a pole in the room. She's holding onto the pole, and then he ends up getting smushed up against the glass window of the hotel room, and he's pinned up against the wall by a couch. And as he looks down, he sees the LA streets. So the fire department pulls up. They hear them screaming. They break into the hotel room. And he has the nerve to be so disrespectful yet again. He's like, oh, F women and children, come over here and save me first. And she's like, the freak? Like, that's got to be the worst day ever. Being sexually harassed by your boss and threatened. And then on top of that, having an earthquake hit and now you're stuck in a crisis in this room with this man is like absolutely horrific. So what do the firefighters do? They save her first because she's the closest rescue, and then they go to try to save him, but like I said, he's pinned up against the glass window by a sofa. Next thing you know, aftershock hits. Basically they had like 16 aftershocks, and I'm like, at that point, are they even aftershocks? Aren't they just another earthquake? The freak. And the aftershock basically ends up making the glass crack. Sofa pushes him out of the window. He falls to his death. I mean, I'm not saying that he deserved it, but at the same time, karma. You know what I mean? Because what was that? So they were like, well, he's dead. I guess we'll just, take the lady and try to get her out of here. And then the rest of the episode, they spend their time trying to get out of the hotel safely and rescue the rest of the victims and stuff like that. So that show is crazy. I've been watching it on Hulu. So if you guys haven't checked out 911, it does raise my anxiety a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie. Trigger warning, because of how much chaos happens with these 911 calls. It does give me a little bit of stress where I'm like, oh child, I'm holding my breath. But at the same time, the storylines are so good that I just have to remind myself, like, it's okay, relax, like, this isn't real, you're not really there. But it's hard because a lot of the situations feel like they could really happen in real life, so then I get like a bit freaked out. I'm not even gonna kizzy, but either way, I'm gonna still keep watching it. My sister's like, girl, stop watching that show. But I'm like, no, I can't stop watching it. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so those are just my favorite shows of the week. Make sure you guys check that out. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a like, comment down below to let me know how you're navigating your holiday anxiety, things like that. Have you had to make your own traditions when it comes to breaking away from toxic family? Let me know. Subscribe, Spotify and Apple if you're listening. Rate that 5 stars. Leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. And with that, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on,